What if the most terrifying monster from folklore wasn't something you had to, drive away, but something you actually learned to live with and maybe even love?
It's a wild thought, isn't it? But we see classic monsters getting remixed all the time.
True, but few did it with the sheer chaotic brilliance of Rumiko Takahashi.
Absolutely.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into her classic manga and anime, Urusei Yatsura. It first hit the scene back in 1978.
A landmark series.
Totally. And our mission today is really to unpack how this vibrant, completely bonkers romantic comedy basically revolutionized the traditional demon archetype.
And really laid the groundwork for the whole magical girlfriend genre that followed.
Exactly. We're calling it the domestication of the demon. And this whole analysis, it's built on looking closely at Urusei Yatsura itself, but also digging into its surprising roots in Japanese Oni folklore.
Pulling out those connections is where it gets really interesting.
Right. Because at its heart, Takahashi took the Oni, this symbol of external cosmic threat, and turned it into an agent of internal romantic household chaos.
She even hints at it in the title, which is genius.
Yeah. Tell us about that. Urusei Yatsura.
Well, it sounds almost exactly like Urusei Yatsura, which means, annoying people or obnoxious people.
Okay.
But she swaps one character for the kanji say, meaning star. So it literally becomes planet people or star people.
So right away, she's downgrading this cosmic terror to
basically domestic nuisance.
Yeah.
It sets the whole tone.
It's perfectly captured by that idea you mentioned, Oni wa uchi. Oni are inside.
Which is the complete opposite of the traditional Setsubun chant, Oni wa soto. Yes. Oni are outside. Get them out.
Get them out. Okay, so to really get how radical Takahashi's move was, we need to understand the original Oni first. What were they in Japanese folklore?
Well, the key thing to grasp is that the Oni isn't just like one specific monster. It's more of a fluid, incredibly powerful cultural symbol. Think of it as a container for centuries of Japanese society's fears and beliefs.
So it's not static.
Not at all. Its power as a concept comes from that very richness, that complexity, even the contradictions within it.
And the name itself, Oni, hints at something hidden.
Exactly. The word most likely comes from on, which means to hide or conceal. So it suggests this unseen, maybe malevolent presence lurking just out of sight.
Which is different from, say, a ghost.
Yeah, quite different from the Chinese character, Gum for Ghosts.
Yeah.
The Oni seems to have started as this vague, terrifying, unseen force, and then over time it became much more physical, much more monstrous.
And other things fed into that image, right? It wasn't just one source.
Oh, definitely not. You've got layers upon layers. Ancient Japanese beliefs, Chinese cosmology, especially on voodoo, the whole yin-yang divination thing, and Buddhism, all added new scary bits to the Oni.
So the horns and the tiger skin, where did that come from?
That's likely from Chinese cosmology and the idea of the Kimon, the demon gate. It's this unlucky direction, the northeast.
Okay.
And in the Chinese zodiac, that direction is associated with the ox, Ushi, and the tiger, Top. Bingo. Suddenly, the Oni gets bovine horns and starts wearing tiger skin loincloths.
Wow, so it's like a visual mashup of bad omens?
Pretty much.
Right.
Then Buddhism comes along, and Oni get jobs as fearsome wardens and torturers in Buddhist hell Jigoku.
Oh, great. More upgrades.
Yeah, and they got mixed up with man-eating figures from Hindu Buddhist myths like Yaksha and Rakshasa.
So they weren't just monsters, they were also kind of a symbol for outsiders.
That's absolutely crucial. The Oni often became a representation of the other. Anyone outside the established social or political order, maybe rebellious clans, foreigners, bandits, even just people living on the fringes, they were a category for whatever threatened the center.
And all this blending created this really iconic, terrifying look. Paint us a picture.
Okay, so imagine a huge, hulking, muscular figure, immense size, skin that's often bright red, blue, or sometimes black. Monstrous features, one or more horns sticking out of their head, big pointy fangs, sharp claw-like nails.
Yikes. Definitely not someone you invite in for tea.
Definitely not.
And their power wasn't just looking scary, right?
No, it was immense. Superhuman strength, obviously. But they were also strongly associated with natural disasters, especially thunder and lightning, reflecting, that ancient fear of nature's raw, uncontrollable power.
And they had that signature weapon, the big club.
The kanabu, a massive spiked iron club. There's even that famous proverb, Oni gikanabu, an Oni with an iron club.
Meaning
making something that's already strong,
basically
invincible.
Yeah.
It really hammers home how formidable they were meant to be.
But here's where it gets really interesting. You mentioned this duality. They weren't always pure evil.
That's right. It complicates the picture beautifully. While the, let's say, mainstream image is the malevolent, bloodthirsty monster, there's a whole other side.
Like the really nasty ones first.
Okay, the classic example of pure evil is Shutenduji, the drunken demon from the Heian period. A super powerful Oni leader set up a fortress, raided Kyoto, kidnapped noblewomen, drank their blood, ate their flesh. Standard weekend activity.
Charming. So he represented a direct threat to the capital.
Exactly. A kind of counter society that the imperial heroes had to go out and violently destroy. That's your archetypal malevolent Oni.
But then there are other stories.
Completely different ones. In some regions, Oni are seen as protectors, even benefactors. Like in Suguru, up in Aomori Prefecture. There's a story of an Oni from Mount Iwaki who supposedly built a vital canal overnight to save a village.
Wow. So they actually revere him.
They do.
Yeah.
And many households there deliberately don't do the bean-throwing Setsubun ritual because they don't want to drive away their helpful Oni protector.
That's fascinating. Any other examples?
Yeah, the Namahage from Aikia Prefecture. They look like Oni, visit homes on New Year's Eve, and yeah, they definitely scare naughty kids. But they also perform rituals to bless the homes for a good harvest in the coming year. Scary, but ultimately beneficial.
So whether an Oni was monstrous really depended on where you stood, literally and figuratively.
Precisely. It highlights that the Oni could be a kind of political figure in folklore. Its monstrousness might be a projection of fear from the ruling center onto groups on the periphery. From the capital, they're a threat.
Oh.
From the local village, maybe they're an ancestor spirit or protector.
Which brings us back to the crucial question. What happens when this incredibly complex, fluid symbol, this Oni, crashes into the modern world of 1970s Japan?
And into the imagination of Rumiko Takahashi.
Right. So armed with all that folklore baggage, how does she brilliantly re-engineer the Oni in Urusei Yatsura? The biggest move you said was making them aliens.
That was the foundational stroke of genius, recontextualizing them as a technologically advanced spacefaring race from Oniboshi, planet Oni.
Why was that so clever?
Well, first, it instantly modernizes this ancient figure for a contemporary audience totally soaked in sci-fi tropes. It gives a kind of pseudo-logical, in-universe reason for why they're on Earth, spaceships and all that, instead of just pure magic.
And opens up comedic possibilities.
Limitless comedic possibilities. Alien gadgets, weird spaceships, bizarre intergalactic politics. It basically launders the horror elements through sci-fi tropes and turns them into comedy gold.
Okay, so she kept some core Oni elements but changed others. Can we break that down? What does she keep?
She definitely kept the core look, the iconography. Lum and the other Oni aliens, they still have the signature horns, and the series makes it explicit that the horns are the source of their powers.
Ah, okay.
They have fangs, pointed ears, and they often wear those distinctive tiger-striped outfits. Lum's, of course, is famously a bikini, but the pattern is there.
And the temperament.
Oh yeah, they absolutely keep that fiery, quick-tempered nature of the folkloric demons. Lum's jealousy and temper tantrums are like a primary engine of the comedy and conflict.
But then other things got completely flipped. You mentioned the appearance. Traditional Oni are hideous.
That's maybe the single biggest visual subversion. The main Oni characters in the show, like Lum or her incredibly handsome, shape-shifting ex-fiancé Ray, are just stunningly beautiful or good-looking.
Which changes everything.
Instantly. It shifts the Oni from being an object of pure terror to being a potential romantic interest, an object of desire, and just as importantly, that malevolent flesh-eating aspect. Gone.
Right.
These aliens are basically peaceful, even if their culture seems a bit warlike or, obsessed with weird contests. Their invasion is just this bizarre sporting event. It's driven by personal stuff, misunderstandings, romantic entanglements, not actual malice.
And their powers got a sci-fi makeover too, the thunder and lightning.
Becomes Lum's personal electricity generation, but instead of smiting villages, she uses it for comedic zaps when Ataru cheats on her. Non-lethal punishment.
Right. Makes sense.
And other powers, like flight for her family or fire breathing for her little cousin Ten, are just presented as, biological traits of their alien species. Not magic, just weird alien biology.
So, okay, they still have powers. They look amazing. How do you even deal with them? Traditionally, you'd use prayers or beans.
Right, sacred scrolls, holy symbols.
But in Urusei Yatsura, it gets much funnier.
Yeah.
And way more domestic.
This is where the domestication really hits home, and it's hilarious. Forget the sacred stuff. The traditional Oni weaknesses, roasted soybeans, prayers are replaced by the most mundane, comical things imaginable.
Such as?
these incredibly powerful space aliens, can be totally incapacitated by umeboshi, Japanese pickled plums.
Pickled plums, seriously.
Seriously. And they're also strongly repelled by the smell of garlic. It makes them weep uncontrollably.
So a being that can fly across galaxies and shoot lightning bolts gets taken down by something you find in the kitchen pantry.
Exactly. It's this brilliant thematic move. Takahashi sets them up as this technologically superior, potentially world-conquering force, right? High stakes. But then she makes them vulnerable to the most common everyday items.
That creates this great incongruity.
Totally. Hilarious incongruity. And it symbolizes how this extraordinary other, Lum, gets integrated into and, in a way, tamed by the ordinary reality of a Japanese home. Their alien power is real, but it's not absolute. It's subject to the mundane world. That's key to the domestication.
So we've seen how she rebuilt the Oni, but how does that new Oni actually drive the story? It's not just background flavor.
Oh, absolutely not. It's the engine. Take the very first episode, the inciting incident, the whole reason Lum is even on Earth. The contest the invading Oni proposed to decide Earth's fate is a game of tag.
A game of tag to decide the fate of the planet.
Right. And in Japanese, the word for tag is onigoko, literally the game of the Oni. Yeah. Anyway. So Takahashi makes the central conflict that kicks everything off a literal game of the Oni. It instantly sets this absurd, non-threatening comedic tone for the whole invasion.
And that game basically defines Lum and Ataru's relationship throughout the entire series.
It really does. It's not just a one-off gag. Their whole dynamic is this perpetual metaphorical onigoko. Ataru is constantly running away from Lum's affections, her desire for commitment.
And Lum and the Oni in this game
is relentlessly pursuing him, trying to catch him, trying to get him to admit he loves her. It's this endless, chaotic chase that fuels their entire romantic comedy. The game never really stops. It just becomes the core metaphor for their relationship.
She does this literalizing thing with other traditions too, right? Like the Setsubun Festival. Remind us what that normally involves.
Okay, so traditional Setsubun, it's a ritual, usually in early February. Families throw roasted soybeans out the door shouting, "Oni wa soto, Oni out!" to drive away evil spirits and bad luck. And then they throw beans inside the house, shouting, "Fuku wa uchi," good fortune in. It's basically a symbolic house cleaning, getting rid of the bad, welcoming the good.
But in Urusei Yatsura, this quiet little household ritual turns into something else.
Oh, it's spectacular. It becomes this literal, annual, all-out, high-tech war game.
A war game between her?
Between Lum's Oni clan and the clan of her childhood friend Benton. In Benton's clan, they're members of the Fukujin, the actual lucky gods of Japanese mythology.
So, wait, you're telling me the symbolic act of throwing beans to welcome good fortune turns into an intergalactic laser battle in the schoolyard between demons and lucky gods?
Pretty much exactly that. It's Takahashi's signature move again. Take an abstract cultural idea, a ritual, and make it completely literal and physical. Blend the mundane school setting with this insane mythological sci-fi conflict. It's surreal, hilarious, and totally groundbreaking.
Okay, this leads us straight to the characters themselves, because they are the living embodiment of this domestication of the demon idea. Let's start with Lum Invader. She was such a game changer.
Absolutely. Lum is a radical reimagining of the female Oni fetish in folklore. Traditionally, female Oni were either terrifyingly beautiful but, carnivorous demons called Rosetsu, or there were human women twisted into hideous monsters by extreme jealousy.
So Lum inherits some of that.
She definitely inherits the supernatural beauty, a connection to destructive power, her electricity, and oh boy, does she inherit the fierce jealousy.
But it's channeled differently.
Completely. Her beauty isn't a deceptive lure for victims, it's just she's beautiful, and it's part of her romantic appeal. And her ferocious rage, her jealousy, it comes out as those comedic, non-lethal electric shocks aimed squarely at Ataru whenever he strays.
So she's the dangerous other, but made safe enough for a rom-com. Made safe for domestic consumption almost.
That's a great way to put it. And she was hugely influential. She really helped solidify the Sunder archetype. The character who switches between being harsh and affectionate. And she's undeniably a foundational figure in what people now call waifu culture. She represents this really interesting modern conflict, being this incredibly powerful, independent entity, while also deeply desiring the traditional role of a loving wife. It's a complexity born directly from her being this domesticated demon.
And then there's the guy who has to deal with her, Ataru Moriboshi, the ultimate unheroic loser.
He really is. and a total magnet for cosmic bad luck. His name is even a pun, Moroboshi Yataro. Sounds like Moroboshi Nyataro, which means to be hit by all the stars.
Ah, perfect.
It signals his destiny right there. He's defined by, let's be honest, his incredible lechery, his selfishness, his cowardice, and just unparalleled bad luck. He's the perfect foil for Lum's unwavering devotion, and he's the constant trigger for all the chaos she brings into his life.
But he does change, right? It's not just him running away forever.
He does, but oh so slowly and reluctantly. His arc is definitely one of gradual, unwilling domestication. Initially, he sees Lum as purely a pest, this supernatural annoyance he desperately wants to get rid of.
Standard reaction, maybe.
Right. But his true feelings, his inability to actually imagine life without her, leak out in moments of crisis. There's that famous storyline later on where he's shown a possible future, a perfect harem with every girl he's ever chased.
His dream.
His ultimate dream. But he rejects it. He chooses to destroy that future when he finds out Lum isn't in it, opting instead to protect the chaotic, frustrating present and future where they are together, eventually married. In a really profound way, he gets domesticated by the demon he spent so long trying to push away.
And their power dynamic is so backwards, isn't it? Lum has all the physical power.
Totally. Flight, super strength, electricity, alien tech. Ataru is completely physically powerless against her. If she wanted to flatten him, she could. But the real conflict, the core tension, is emotional. Lum's deepest desire, the one thing she wants more than anything, is for Ataru to simply, faithfully love her. To just say, I love you, and mean it.
And that's the one thing he stubbornly refuses to give her.
Exactly. So his emotional withholding, his refusal to commit, becomes his power in the relationship. It's the one thing her lightning bolts and alien strength can't force out of him.
So his sheer stubbornness is his superpower, in a weird way.
In a very weird, very Ataru way, yes. The climax of the entire original series, the thing that literally saves the world, hinges entirely on whether Ataru can finally bring himself to say those 3 words to Lum.
Wow.
It's such a clever subversion of the usual powerful girlfriend trope. It creates this fascinating, surprisingly balanced emotional equilibrium where the physically weakest character holds all the emotional cards. It's brilliant character writing.
So pulling it all together, what does Urusei Yatsura mean for us today? Why does it still feel so fresh and relevant after all these decades?
Well, a huge part of its enduring appeal is that constant collision between the epic and the totally mundane. The setting isn't some fantasy realm, it's Tomobiki Town. Just a normal, kind of boring, fictional Japanese suburb.
Yeah.
High school, houses, corner stores.
But into this ordinary place
comes the full force of the cosmos. Aliens, gods, ghosts, mythological creatures from dozens of traditions, they all just descend on this one town.
And that's where the humor explodes. An alien invasion settled by tag. Mythological feuds fought in the school hallways. Family dinner interrupted by a fire-breathing alien toddler.
It's relentless suburban absurdism. And it works on 2 levels. It parodies the grandiosity you expect from sci-fi or mythology, but it also shines a light on the hidden absurdities of just, normal modern life. It finds the fantastic hiding in the familiar.
It also pokes fun at tradition and modernity, doesn't it? Like Lum trying to be the perfect Japanese wife.
Oh yeah, her attempts are hilarious and disastrous. Like her cooking, she tries to make traditional Japanese dishes, but using oni ingredients, so everything's lethally spicy or causes weird transformations. It's a gentle satire of traditional gender roles and domestic ideals.
And the poor Moroboshi family, just trying to cope with an alien princess living in their son's closet.
Their sheer exasperation says a lot about the resilience, maybe the resignation of the modern Japanese family unit trying to deal with the unexpected. You could even read the constant chaos in Tomobiki Town as a metaphor for post-war Japan itself, trying to reconcile its deep traditions with this sudden, chaotic influx of foreign, modern influences.
But maybe the deepest, most lasting theme is how it completely rewrites our relationship with the other. Like you said, in Folklore, the response to the Oni is, get out, Oni wa Soto.
Exactly. Fear and expulsion. Urusei Yatsura flips that completely on its head. The invasion doesn't end with Lum being driven away. It ends with her becoming a permanent fixture in Ataru's life, in his home, his school, in his heart eventually.
So the story isn't about getting rid of the alien, the outsider.
It's about learning to live with them, adapt to them, and ultimately realizing you need them. It's about learning to love the chaotic, frustrating, completely foreign other.
Ataru's journey is kind of everyone's journey then, moving from wanting to reject the strange to realizing life is actually kind of empty without it.
That's a really powerful way to see it. And that theme, it was truly revolutionary for its time. It shaped so many romantic comedies, so many magical girlfriend stories that came after. He proposed this whole new idea about relationships, that true connection isn't about finding someone identical to you. It's not about perfect harmony. It's about the messy, challenging, but ultimately rewarding process of loving someone precisely because of their beautiful, infuriating, and wonderfully alien nature.
So wrapping up, Rumiko Takahashi's genius in Urusei Yatsura was taking this ancient, complex figure, the Oni, and completely re-engineering it. She created this whole new way of telling stories that influenced generations.
Yeah, this domestication of the demon wasn't just a gimmick. It unlocked all this incredible thematic depth, exploring tradition versus modernity, the nature of chaotic love, and ultimately how we embrace or fail to embrace the other.
In the wild, weird, wonderful world of Urusei Yatsura, the right response when the demon shows up isn't that old chant, Oni wa Soto.
No. It's a much more reluctant, chaotic, confusing, but ultimately loving acceptance of Oni Welji. Oni are inside. Which maybe leaves you thinking, how do you approach the other in your own life, especially when that other might just be the most irritating yet absolutely essential part of your world?